Hey everyone, it's Darren from Resurrection Auto Detailing, Tint and Protection with our first coffee time at the Resurrection. This is
Lainey, Fiddler.
all right. So we're launching this segment. One of our goals as a team was to have more team engagement, and that's what we're going to focus on. So we started doing coffee breaks with everybody, and we started making sure that we were more of a team unit, which we have always focused on, but trying to focus a little bit more on it now. So kind of hoping that everyone that knows me gets to know my team, so you guys all know who you're trusting with your vehicles. So I made some questions for Lainey here, and you guys are going to get to know Lainey a little bit better. So Lainey, how long have you worked here?
I worked here for about 3 years now, Darren.
Yeah, you were like one of our first hires, eh?
Yeah.
Like, so we were in our old shop at 17th Street North, and yeah, Lainey was looking for her first job, and
I was kind of taken on as a summer part-time and evening person, and yeah. I've been here ever since.
Been crushing it since day one, hey? So what do you do?
I'm a detailer. I specialize in the detailing department, and I'm also a certified Revivify installer.
Yeah. So what's your favorite aspect of the business and why?
I honestly just really enjoy all of it, if I'm being totally honest. It's never the same day for me, so it's always something different. I always get to do something new, and it's a new experience every day for me. So yeah,
which is awesome, right? You never know what you're going to get when you come into work, and it's not like a production line where you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and flipping the same burgers, right? So
you can see cool stuff every day.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to find, right? What's the number one thing you've learned while working here?
Honestly, considering just being my first job, I think that what I took out of this the most was just having a work ethic and just learning to go somewhere to a job and be there every day and help provide for stuff that you need, stuff that you need to live. And I've just had this really great team of people around me teach me all these like life skills almost, and just kind of help me maneuver my way through a work field.
Through life, right?
Through life. So yeah. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. If you could recommend one thing to a customer, what would it be? So if a customer came through the door and they're like, I have this vehicle, I want all of your recommendations, I trust you fully, Lainey, what do I need? What would it be?
Just a regular maintenance. Yeah. Honestly, just you don't need to have all the money and all the tools and all that kind of stuff, but even just like a quick vacuum and a wipe down every once in a while, it does your vehicle wonders. Yeah. Especially where we live, where it's so muddy and dusty, and stuff just builds up so quick. So just a regular maintenance. For sure. Like we have a lot of ag, and then we have snow and that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing I touch on with a lot of people all the time, right? Your vehicle requires 1 hour a week of regular cleaning inside and out. And so if you neglect it for, a month, you have about 4 hours you have to pump into that. So if you haven't had a detail for a year, there's multiple of hours that we have to put it back into it to get it back to factory spec or like new condition. Is that something you would agree with? Totally. Yeah. Something I totally agree with. Perfect. What was a goal you had when you started here? Goals when I started here, I don't know if necessarily were oriented to this job specifically. I was very into welding and being a body technician and a painter and stuff like that. And while it still holds like a very dear place in my heart, and I love it very much, just coming here was something that really played to my advantage. And I got to learn all around the stuff that I like being around. Right. And I don't know. Yeah, so like a goal, I guess, would be you were kind of going to look for a career kind of towards like welding and auto body and stuff like that, right? Which is actually not too far off from what I did, because I worked in a metal shop at one point. I did the fabrication side, I did a little bit of the welding, and I also actually came from the body world. So like I chased the exact same thing. I just found that I liked the finished product more than the during product. So I didn't really like sanding and, fixing panels and stuff. What I liked was after the paint work was done, I was denibbing, I was polishing, I was wet sanding. And then that was like the wow when the customer came in, right? Yeah. No,
that's awesome, right? So
the welding and auto body aspect definitely got very repetitive almost.
Right.
And it was, anybody who can go and do that job is good on them. Yeah. But it was something for me that I couldn't do that repetition constantly.
Right.
And going back to it being a different day here every day, I think that just played in more in my favor as well. Because honestly, I'm smaller too. It's easier for me to go around inside the vehicles than it is for me to be jumping up on top of them, painting them or.
Right. I agree. So is that still a goal, or what's the new goal?
I ended up getting certified in my welding, and I was apprentice body technician for a little bit, so I was on the path to achieving those goals. And then when the opportunity just came back for me to come back here, that was more valuable to me in following that path than something that I felt like I was just set out to do.
Right. So
it played to my advantage to come back here and learn all these.
And I think you made like quite the home here. You do an amazing job. We always get raving 5-star reviews about your work and stuff like that. So, sometimes it's one of those things where you chase a career that you think you want, which is the same kind of career that I chased, to later find out that maybe the thing that you were doing while chasing that career was actually more in your wheelhouse than what you ever realized, right? So like I've been doing this for 19 years, on and off, and always, I would leave for a little bit, chase a career, come back to it, and then eventually I just realized that like this is where I belonged. Is the finished product, the thing that the customers are like, this is my vehicle again.
Yeah.
So I definitely know exactly what you're saying when you say that, for sure. What's some interesting facts about Lainey? What's some hobbies, pets, your life? Like, what do you do outside of Resurrection? I live and breathe Resurrection life. I know you live and breathe Resurrection life all the time. So like, what's some things outside Resurrection that you live?
I have a house with my boyfriend and our few animals. We have cats and some lizards, and I'm definitely a very animal-oriented person. Yeah. I love my animals. I like to do little creative things like painting and drawing and just some fun artistic stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
More of my scene.
So being an animal person, does it bother you when you see like super pet hair vehicles coming in?
It doesn't bother me because I totally understand. Right. I get it. Like, I'm the person who takes my cats in the car too.
Like I feel if you could have one of those like backpacks with the little globe on it.
I would. Right? I'd bring them everywhere.
So, yeah, which is awesome, right? And I mean, that's like a comforting feeling for people, because I know sometimes when people come in, they're like, I'm sorry, there's so much dog hair. I'm so embarrassed. But life just kind of gets away from you, and you always want to take your furry friends wherever you go. I mean, if you could, you'd have probably 14 hamsters running around helping you detail the spots and stuff like that, right? So
I don't know about other people, but my pets are also my children, so I like to take them around and I like to bring them places. So
because you don't have any kids, right? So
no, I don't. So it shouldn't be a burden to anybody else to have to want to take your family around with you.
I agree, for sure. What's the hardest part about your job?
I think the hardest part about my job has just been adapting with it. So we started at such a smaller shop at where I was when I started. And I think the biggest challenge out of all of it has just been growing and maneuvering with the business. Right. And like expanding and just finding that flow for everybody on how we all work together as a team. And because we have more staff now than when we did when I started as well. For sure. It's a matter of everybody fitting into their own spot and finding.
And different people, right? Different people bring like different energy and stuff, right? So you gotta find where you vibe with them, and some stuff we just haven't vibed with. They just weren't a good fit for our team. But we've been on this crazy path of growth that every day seems like a learning curve.
Yeah.
And it seems like so many things are changing and adapting, and you being one of our more senior staff, even though you're the youngest, you being one of our more senior staff, you've seen how things have changed from our CRM, the way we take payment, the way we greet customers, the way we talk to customers, the way we handle things in the back, the way the tools and the equipment have changed. I mean, we went from just making it by to having the state-of-the-art equipment, you know, the stuff that people dream about having.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So I think you've definitely adapted to that very well. So, but definitely that is probably the hardest part.
That was the biggest learning curve out of all of it, was adapting with everything. And
I think working for me is probably never easy, because every day is a little bit different. And I never do anything that I haven't researched. So, you know, I spend months researching a different coating, right? So we've applied lots of different coatings. We've had a few different CRMs. And then, of course, as we get into other CRMs or coatings, it could be, you know, you guys come in one day and this is what we're doing. And then the next day is like, okay, we need to start offering this product because this product offers this. And that's what our clients are looking for, right? So I think that's probably a hard thing for most of our staff to understand, that like, I'm always changing things for the benefit of what our clients are looking for, or what they're needing, or what they're asking for, right? So yeah, I totally get that. Worst thing you've ever found in a vehicle?
Darren, I've found so much stuff in vehicles. I mean, there's been rotten meat, there's been mold, there's been... I think one that really stands out to me is when I was vacuuming this one little SUV, and a mouse ran under the seat. A live mouse ran under the seat. That one kind of got me. That one spooked me real good. But
yeah, that'll get you. I think there's been a few times where you're come out and you're scratching your head and you're like, why is this in here?
What is this?
Yeah, I mean, we just had one the other day with sandwiches under the seats.
Yeah.
Like, why do kids do that? Just jam, you know? But
just full of sandwiches.
Yeah. Most challenging thing you've ever had in a vehicle?
Most challenging. We just did one recently that had gasoline all spilt in the back.
Right.
That was pretty difficult to get out, just from how potent it was.
Yeah.
It definitely needed a few times going over to get that out. So that was pretty difficult.
And a totally different technique. Like, we have a product that we put on it, try and help bring up the fuel from the underlay of the carpet. So then you're drill brushing it to get it in, and then you're pulling it out, and then you have to do that. So you're almost making the car worse before you make it better, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess. Yeah, that was a tough one, and we did a really good job on it. We made it significantly better.
Yeah.
I don't think I would say it was 100% successful, but often those aren't, and simply because
unfortunately,
you can't really, oil and water don't mix, right?
Yeah.
So not everything we do is always perfect, but we get it as good as we possibly can, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. We can definitely say we do everything that we can to get it out.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. So we've all had these vehicles, and I tell every detailer this when they start with me. We all have a vehicle that literally breaks us, makes us cry, and just makes us lay there and think, is this really what I want to do? So what was your breaking vehicle?
It's probably a month after I started, and we had a truck come in, and unfortunately, I think it was a stolen in recovery.
Oh, you're talking to the Dodge?
And they had a fire in the back of the truck.
Okay.
The back seat caught on fire, and it was a leather seat.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do remember that one. Yeah.
The back leather seat caught on fire, and it needed a full going over. So I did this whole detail without looking up. The whole headliner that was supposed to be tan colored was black from soot.
Right.
So I had to take the carpet shampooer and spray the whole headliner, getting everything that I'd just done wet, having to redo everything. Restart my detail, and it was just not coming out. Right. It was not coming out. Every time that I would suck it all up, it would just seep all back black.
Yeah.
And I remember just laying across the back seats and just tears streaming down my face.
I remember that day, actually. And that's when I started telling detailers, like, we all have that one that makes us cry.
We all have that one.
Yeah. We've all had that. Any detailer I've ever had has had that moment of, I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that one, actually. The client was a farmer, and he had I think it was a battery pack in the back for like drills and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And he had it like in a case, and it must have overheated, and he was working in the field in his piece of equipment, and the battery actually like ignited, and then off it went. And actually, that's still a customer to this day, which is awesome. So, I mean, we did really good on that. He was super pumped. We saved his vehicle. It wasn't a total loss, which was huge for him because I believe when he had called NPI, they had said that it was likely a total loss and they were going to have to write it off, which would have been huge, right? So, huge save for him. Being a farmer, obviously, in this area, when you're farming and stuff like that, like, you know, it's making sense of the dollars and that kind of stuff. So purchasing a new $110,000 truck or whatever it was at the time, that would have been out of the realm. So you being able to save that for him, saved him a lot of money, and then obviously kept his truck running, right? So that was huge. Yeah, I remember that actually.
Very, very rewarding in the end.
I thought you were talking about the stolen recovery one that we had like 90 hours between 4 of us.
Oh yeah, that was
all over it. But
I had some help on that one, so I wasn't too.
Yeah, and you know, the odd time I'll still be sitting there and I'll think about that truck, and I can still potently smell that truck. That smell of alcohol, the smell of diesel fuel, the smell of dirt, the smell of just tranny fluid everywhere. I still sometimes smell
flashbacks of the mouse traps and stuff in there.
And then like, just all the stuff, man. That was a crazy one.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So what was the point that you knew you wanted to specialize in this? Like, when were you at what point were you like, this is what I want to do?
I think it's when I took some time off from here, and I switched my availability, so I was more of a part-time evening person after I became full-time. And I just kind of started exploring other things, and I started looking for other jobs and doing other stuff, and I didn't click with the other jobs like I did this one.
Right.
And I didn't find any other place that I felt as comfortable or as myself doing a certain job. So I feel like this was just something that was calling to me from day one, and I didn't realize it until I went to go try and explore other things.
And sometimes that's what you need. Like you said, you came here as your first job.
Yeah.
Most people do that at like fast food restaurants or lawn care, that kind of stuff. So as your first job, you're already kind of stepping into something that when I started was like a minimum wage job. We were the bottom of the totem pole, and then like now we've been able to, at Resurrection, we've been able to like create careers out of it, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to pursue that a little bit. Do you think that would be more of like the environment of the workplace, or do you think that's more of like the job?
I've always been very like trades oriented.
Right.
So I've always really liked the trades and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily know if it was the environment, but it wasn't, that part of the trade was just not clicking for me.
Right.
Like I was picking it up and I was getting along with it, but
You're figuring it out, right?
I was figuring it out, but it just didn't click with me like it did some other people. Like some people are really good at math, or some people are really good at English or other things like that. And that's not me. I don't pick up on things like that. So when I was able to come here and almost create my own environment,
right, kind of became your own boss, right? Like
it really almost like paved a way for me to start growing and realizing that I can make something really big out of this.
Right. And lots of people know your dad. Like her dad's Brian Fiddler. He's a well-known painter, pinstriper, airbrusher in Brandon. And I guess you've kind of picked up like his crafty touch of like, perfection and the final product and what you want to deliver to the customer. Like, when I introduced you guys to like line work, like you did him and haw it, you were like, this is awesome. Like the first one I showed you, I think I had like 11 different patterns in that van, right?
You did the bloom box.
Yeah, the bloom box van. Yeah. And I did a whole bunch of different patterns in it. And I'm like, this is like just kind of the nice thing, when a customer picks it up and it's a little bit more of a touch of like finishing. You got really excited about that. And like, you still continue to this day doing line work wherever you can. Right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is owed to your dad because he's so art oriented, and you've picked that up. Like I remember when you were a kid, I've known Brian Fiddler for probably as long as I've been detailing, like 19 years, right? And I remember when you were younger and you were like out in the garage helping a pinstripe and learning how to airbrush and stuff, and like that's cool stuff, right? So I think you were able to take your artistic ability and your artistic talent and like kind of bring it into detailing. And I think that's a huge aspect to like you being able to detail so well, because you came in part-time, and I think it was only like a couple weeks you did part-time, and then you were like full-time, like balls to the walls, right? Like you were like in it, and you picked up like the majority of what the job was requiring within like just a few days, and away you went. And like now you're, you know, I never have to worry about you when you're back there. I'm like, oh, Lainey's got it, you know, like our bad ones, I'm like, that one's Lainey, you know. And then certain ones, you know, like Sean has her niche, and everybody here kind of has what they're good at. So that's where we try to mitigate where we're taking a vehicle to which detailer, right? So lots of logistics all the time. So what was the funniest thing you found in the vehicle?
So many French fries. So many French fries. And you know, I shouldn't even be surprised because it's such a common thing. They're in my vehicle too. Like I know, I totally get it.
So what's your nickname around here?
French fries.
Do you remember why your nickname's French fries?
When I started here, I was just so baffled at the amount of French fries.
I remember sitting at the old shop. I was at my desk and I heard you say, why is there so many French fries in all these vehicles? Like every vehicle had French fries, and that's how you got the nickname French fries. I
would always send a picture to the group chat. What is this? Yeah. Why is there so many?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. That's all really the questions I have for you. Basically, just want to introduce our customers and our following to like our staff and our team. I think we built a really solid team where we're all friends and that kind of stuff, which I think is super important. And it's always a good time to have our forbidden flavors that we have in the showroom. So it's always good. Yeah, thank you for taking the time out of your detailing to introduce yourself to all of our awesome clients and friends.
Thank you.
All right.